Hello.
Hi.
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 I've missed the two of you so much.
Oh, I know.
We're launching a collection.
Yeah, so I mean, this collection started. I mean, I think we spoke to you in the very beginning, right when things shut down. And I think the first 2 months were really just focused on like, how do we keep our business afloat and make it through this crazy time? What do we need to do to kind of get through it? And then kind of once we kind of got our ducks in order, that's when we started working on this collection. But it was interesting putting this collection together because it was very different from like any of our other processes.
It feels like the most sort of personal collection in that we had no preconceived ideas of what it was going to look like when it was done.
For the first time, we were just sitting in our studio, blank walls, just pencils and paper. And, I'm at one end of the table and Lazar's at the other. And we just started sketching from our heads and just kind of riffing off one another and building the collection, like kind of in the purest way we've ever done it.
It's very interesting talking to designers over the last few months, how many people were conscious of creating a document that reflected the moment, that actually they were very, very keen on very aware of the fact that everything had this significance, this strange significance at this extraordinary time, this unprecedented time, so that everything you did had a different kind of weight.
For us, we wanted things that really felt good. That was like basically the goal. Optimism and joy and something that you would own for the rest of your life. Something that felt lasting. For us, anything that felt throwaway felt completely wrong. It had to feel good against your skin, against your body. It had, there was no heels. It was all flat shoes, longer lengths, just sort of ease of wearing. We wanted something that made women's lives easier in every sense of the word.
Like our jobs as designers, as it is yours as an editor, is kind of to predict what the future is going to look like 6 months from now when we're delivering this thing. And never has it kind of felt so uncertain. Like, what are women's lives going to be like? What are they going to be needing? What are they going to be desiring? So we really just want to infuse the collection with this sense of optimism. I mean, that was the most important thing that we brought forward into this.
I mean, why do it as a book to sort of preserve this moment, or do it as a book?
For us, the idea of the physical and the object and having something that we just didn't want whatever we did to kind of disappear, to just kind of be this thing that was ephemeral and disappeared into the ether the minute it was over.
I have to say, I mean, I love the collection, and I liked it on a number of levels. One, I just felt like, it had the Proenza Schouler thing, but it also felt like a nice stride, a couple of good strides ahead. I mean, it tells a nice urban story in a weird way. And because it's like, here's your pantsuit. Here's your t-shirt, which is a really cool t-shirt, the one with the circle in the back. And then in the midst of all that, you've got this skinny silhouette, this long and lean silhouette. I mean, not skinny in that it's only for super skinny people, hardly. I felt like, oh, this is so nice to see, because we've seen a lot of weird volume all season.
I think there was also something really freeing about knowing that we weren't going to have a show. I think in seasons past, we always toyed with the idea of like, let's skip a season. Let's get off this hamster wheel for a second and do something new, explore a different medium. We always looked up to people like Azadine, who would kind of put something out as he had something to say, and you never know if something was going to pop up or not pop up.
It gives a lot of cover to try things, I think.
For us, it was a creative breakthrough somehow. Like we feel this need to every season reinvent the wheel in terms of the materiality has to be completely different season to season.
I love that you did a book. I thought it was so, all the things that you just said, that idea, in every Zoom meeting, everyone's curating the books behind them, aren't they? So
it's a thing, so you can leave it and come back to it, and it doesn't demand, it's a different interaction.
Totally.
Yeah, you never throw away a book that you've been given. It'll sit on your bookshelf, on your coffee table. It's just this lasting document of a moment. And then we wanted the contents of the book to also sort of reflect capturing a moment. And so that's when we hired Daniel Shea. Daniel Shea is like this really cool young photographer.
And he's an artist. He also does some fashion work, but his primary work is is art focused, and he does these really beautiful cityscapes. And we just loved the idea of doing this kind of documentation of New York. I mean, we're so specific to New York. It's our home. We wanted to work with a fully New York team.
Local and global.
Yeah, totally. We liked this idea of capturing this moment of time in New York that was so specific. I mean, I think it's been one of the darkest periods for New York, but I think there's a beauty as well, and we wanted to kind of evoke that in the pages of this book.
I love that, the idea of chronicling the moment in New York.
Mm-hmm.
There's a real sort of realism.
Mm-hmm.
There's a pragmatism, and people know that things aren't going to be the same again.
All New Yorkers right now miss New York, even if we're here. Like, I feel like I go outside and I'm like, oh my God, like, where's my city, and where are the places I love? And then you see your book and you remember why you love the city so much and all the things about it, that why we live here, you know, and I think it'll come back, but it sort of reminds me of old New York.
You know, in a way, the way we laid it out, it sort of starts in the morning, like it's sunrise to sunset. So in many ways, it's a day in the life of our woman.
I love that all the pictures, both the landscapes and the fashion pictures, they feel like they're not trying. They feel like you're capturing a woman wearing the clothes because she's wearing them, not because she's a model dressed in them. And there's something so nice about that and so real about the book. And I really love the reality of this book.
New York's coming back.
I think it's almost like a benchmark of design and the simplicity of things, but I wouldn't call it simple, and I wouldn't necessarily, like, I know what you meant as far as things that were comfortable and easier, but it still has fashion all over it. And it's a very nice balance between giving something that feels like fashion, and also it has a nice, almost minimalist, somewhat modernist drive to it.
That's what fashion is. Fashion, yes, we consume it digitally, but ultimately it's a physical thing that you interact with, that you wear, you touch it. Like, that is the ultimate function of clothes.
This is such a moment, and this is of a moment. I mean, we're all living through now. There are so many markers that, you know, will be passed down or remembered by generations or referenced by generations.
Another part of the process was picking fabrics, and normally we get all our fabrics from Italy. Italy was in shutdown when we started working on fabrics. So what we did is we had this huge archive of liability fabrics, whether it's leftover fabrics from production or sample yardage we've never used before. And I'd say 90% of the collection is all fabrics that we owned, and we upcycled everything and just kind of worked with local dyers in New York to re-dye colors.
I love how you use, I think it's so clever that, I don't know if it's tie-dye, but it's just in certain parts of the...
Yeah, our tie-dye factory that we've been doing our tie-dye with for years now is here in California, and they were open.
How will that work with the deliveries then? How will that work when it goes into production?
Well, we just had sample yardage of, we've ordered production fabrics, and then some of the fabrics we had big lots of, so we're able to do the full production with those fabrics.
And the stuff we go back to, it's like beautiful jersey and silks and wool gabardines and double-faced cashmeres and just beautiful things. We're like, why aren't we going back to these things? So that was our starting point. It was really freeing, and it felt really modern to us to kind of just go back to that stuff and use that stuff and treat it in a new way.
It's nice to sort of keep the things that Jack was talking about, like all the things like, you know, what you wanted to do that was sort of different, and starting with a kind of clean slate and relying on the fabrics that you had. It's a good discipline, and you think, okay, how can we hold on to this going forward?
It just feels like a more mature approach, and it's really closer to us and how we think and how we live and our personal aesthetic than it's moving closer and closer and closer to us as individuals. I think that's really important for us right now. It's got to feel personal, because if we love it, we could assume that other people will also sort of feel for it if we feel for it.
I know how hard it's been to, get shoots done, do anything in the middle of a pandemic. How did you pull off doing this amazing book and shoot, during lockdown?
There's so many people involved in this. We have the most amazing team back in the office who have been just so amazing to work with through this entire thing. People have been working from home mostly, but people have been coming to the studio as needed. You know, we also had amazing partners like IMG and L'Oreal who supported the project. There's just like a lot of different, you know, all the girls who worked on the project, from Bings to Saskia, the hair and makeup, Daniel, Brian. It was just a team effort like everything else. And what was great about it is that they were all from New York. And it was like a fully New York team. And that was really important to us from the very get-go, that everyone involved in this was New York. So we're super thankful for all those people.
Congratulations. It looks great.
Congratulations.
Oh, thanks,
guys.
Katie.
I love this collection so much.
Guys, this is really beautiful. Congratulations.
Once again, making New York proud.
All right, love you,
Good
Edward.
to see you guys.
Good to see you. And nice talking with you guys.
Bye.
Bye, you guys.
All right, bye. Take it easy.